Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the ESS Defender, watching the holographic display of the Galactic Council chamber with barely concealed frustration. For the third time in as many months, humanity's representative was being lectured about their aggressive nature and warlike tendencies. Ambassador Linda Hayes kept her composure as the Velkari delegate, a spindly creature with translucent skin, chittered accusations through the universal translator. The humans must disarm their fleet by 30%. Your species has only been part of the Council for 5 years, yet you possess more military vessels than civilizations that have existed for millennia. Linda took a breath, her jaw tight. Counselor Threx, we have explained this repeatedly. Earth's military doctrine is defensive in nature. We maintain our fleet because we understand threats that others choose to ignore. The Horthian ambassador, a floating jellyfish-like being encased in a protective sphere, pulsed with bioluminescent condescension. You speak of threats while being the most threatening presence in this sector. Your paranoia is unbecoming of a council species. It's not paranoia, Linda said firmly. It's preparation. Humanity has a saying, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. We have been warning you about the Krell incursions on the Outer Rim for months now. They're testing defenses, probing for weaknesses. The Velkari delegate made a dismissive gesture. The Krell signed the Treaty of Andros 3 cycles ago. You see enemies where there are none. Back on the Defender, Jake turned to his first officer, Commander Alex Chen. They're not listening. Again. Alex shook his head, his expression grim. The Council's been at peace for 200 years. They've forgotten what real war looks like. They think diplomacy solves everything. Meanwhile, we've got reports of 17 colony worlds going dark in the past 2 months, Jake muttered. All near Krell space, but sure, everything's fine. On the view screen, Linda straightened her shoulders. Humanity formally requests permission to reinforce the Outer Rim colonies with additional defensive platforms and patrol vessels. Denied, the Council head, a towering Mordesh with crystal formations growing from its shoulders, intoned. Your request is seen as an act of escalation. Instead, we require humanity to reduce military presence in contested zones by 40% within 60 standard days. Linda's hands clenched at her sides. You're making a mistake. We're trying to protect not just our colonies, but all Council worlds in that region. The Council has spoken, the Mordesh replied. Comply, or face economic sanctions and potential expulsion from Council protection. The transmission ended. Jake slammed his fist on the armrest of his command chair. Council protection. That's rich. What protection? They can't even acknowledge there's a threat. His communications officer, Lieutenant Kate Miller, looked up from her station. Captain, we're receiving coded transmissions from the colony on New Terra. They're reporting unidentified vessels in their system. Ship signatures match Krell patterns. Sound General Quarters, Jake ordered. Plot a course for New Terra, maximum speed, and get me Admiral Carson on priority channel. As the Defender's engines flared to life, pushing the ship toward the threatened colony, Jake knew the galaxy was about to learn a hard lesson. Humanity had been playing by the Council's rules, holding back their true capabilities, warning about dangers the other species refused to see. That was about to change. Part 2 New Terra was burning. Jake watched from the bridge of the Defender as Krell warships attacked the colony. Their weapons hammered the protective shields around the planet. The defensive platforms that humanity had been forbidden to upgrade were breaking apart. 3 massive Krell dreadnoughts hung in orbit. Each one was twice the size of the Defender. They looked like monsters ready to destroy everything. How many civilians are still on the planet? Jake asked. Lieutenant Kate Miller checked her screens. Her voice was tight with worry. 43,000 people. Evacuation ships are launching, but Krell fighters are shooting at anything that moves. Return fire with all weapons, Jake commanded. Alex, work with the Planetary Defense Force. We need to give those transport ships time to escape. The Defender shook as its railguns fired. The weapons sent tungsten slugs flying toward the nearest Krell vessel. The enemy shields lit up with bright flashes but held strong. Plasma torpedoes followed, hitting with big explosions that did almost no damage. Their shields are too strong, Alex reported. We are barely hurting them. Then we hurt them more, Jake said. Kate, send a distress call on all Council frequencies. Let them see what their precious peace treaty is worth. Down on the planet's surface, Director Peter Grant hid in the colony's command center. Explosions shook the building. Outside, Krell landing craft were bringing down ground forces. The Krell soldiers were machines that stood 3 meters tall. They were covered in weapons. "Sir, the Eastern District has fallen," his security chief said. Officer Claire Bennett looked scared but determined. "Krell troops are moving toward the civilian shelters." Peter looked at the evacuation numbers on his screen. His hands shook. "We have 8,000 people still in the shelters. They will never reach the spaceport in time. Then we hold here," Claire said. She checked her rifle to make sure it was charged. "We buy them every second we can." The next wave of Krell weapons hit the shield generator building. The protective dome over the colony flickered once, twice, then disappeared completely. The aliens had been playing with them before. Now the real attack would begin. In space, the Defender was joined by 2 more human ships. The frigates Valiant and Striker had been patrolling nearby systems. Now it was 3 ships against 3 dreadnoughts and their support fleet. The odds were impossible. "Captain, message from Admiral Carson," Kate said. "The main fleet is coming, but they are 18 hours away. We are ordered to retreat and save our ships." Jake kept looking at the tactical display. Another transport ship exploded as Krell fighters swarmed it. Hundreds of lives ended in an instant. "Negative. We have civilians to protect. We are not leaving." "Sir," Alex said quietly, "we cannot win this fight." "We do not have to win," Jake replied. "We just have to last long enough." "Kate, open a channel to all human ships and colonies in this sector. Use emergency broadcast protocol." Kate's fingers moved fast across her controls. "Channel open, sir." Jake took a breath. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the ESS Defender to all human forces. New Terra is under full attack by Krell battle groups. The Council has abandoned us. Their treaties are worthless. Their protection is a lie. We were forced to fight with one hand tied behind our backs, but no more. As of this moment, I am authorizing all human vessels to use emergency military protocols. The gloves are off. Show them why Earth built the fleets we did. Show them why we warned them. Morrison out." Throughout human space, commanders received the message. In secret military bases, weapon systems that had been called too aggressive by the Council powered up. Ships that had been running at 60% power dropped their artificial limits. Experimental technology that humanity had been told to put away was brought online. On Earth, Admiral Susan Carson stood in the war room beneath Geneva. She was surrounded by holographic displays of the galaxy. She looked at her Chief of Staff, Colonel Danny Wright. "Authorize it," she said coldly. "Release the Hammerfall Protocol. No more holding back. The Council wanted humanity to be civilized? Fine. Now they get to see what happens when civilization falls away and they are left with the species that crawled out of Earth through pure stubbornness and anger." Danny nodded and entered his codes. Across human space, a new war machine woke up. The Krell were about to learn what humanity had been hiding. Back on the Defender, something strange happened. The ship's systems suddenly surged with power. Jake felt it through the floor as limiters shut off and the ship's true capabilities came online. "Captain, we are reading a 400% increase in reactor output," Alex reported. His eyes were wide with surprise. "Weapon systems are showing charge rates we have never seen before." "What just happened?" "Hammerfall Protocol," Jake said with a grim smile. "Command just unleashed every piece of technology we have been sitting on for the past 5 years. Kate, target that lead dreadnought. Let's show these monsters what a human warship really is." The Defender's railguns had been operating at low power to follow Council rules about kinetic weapons. Now with full power they changed from annoying to deadly. The tungsten slugs that had barely touched Krell shields now punched through them like paper. The lead dreadnought's front section erupted in explosions as armor plating vaporized. The massive ship tilted to the side, spilling air and debris into space. "Direct hit," Kate announced with satisfaction. "Their shield generators are offline. Hull breaking apart." "Follow up with plasma torpedoes," Jake ordered. "I want that ship crippled." The torpedoes were now at maximum power instead of the Council's reduced output. They slammed into the wounded dreadnought. More explosions rippled along its hull. The mighty Krell warship that had seemed unbeatable minutes ago began to break into pieces. The Krell fleet reacted with shock. They redirected their attack toward the suddenly dangerous human ships. But the Valiant and Striker had also activated Hammerfall protocols. The 3 human ships, now fighting at full strength, cut through Krell fighters easily. On New Terra's surface, Peter Grant watched through security cameras as reinforcements arrived. Something the colonists had never seen before appeared. Marine drop pods falling from orbit like meteors. The pod slammed into the ground around the colony. They opened to reveal soldiers in powered armor that made them look like walking tanks. These were not the light peacekeeping suits the Council had approved. These were war fighters 7 feet tall in their armor, carrying weapons that looked like they belonged in a nightmare. Sergeant Nicole Wade was first out of her pod. Her armor's computers painted targets across her display. Krell shock troops were advancing on a civilian shelter 200 meters ahead. She raised her plasma rifle. The weapon made a high whining sound as it charged to levels that would have broken every Council treaty on weapons. Second platoon, wedge formation, she commanded. Light them up. The Marines opened fire. The Krell advance stopped cold. Where the enemy armor had protected them from standard rifles, these enhanced weapons tore through it. Krell warriors confident in their technology fell by the dozens. Keep pushing, Nicole ordered. Her targeting computer tracked 3 enemy positions at the same time. Her armor's computer calculated firing solutions and fed them directly into her brain through a neural link. She pulled the trigger 3 times fast. 3 Krell never knew what hit them. Back in orbit, more reinforcements were arriving. Not the main human fleet, which was still hours away, but something else. 12 sleek vessels dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Their hulls were painted black with no identification markings. Captain, I am reading new signatures, Kate reported. Designation Ghost Squadron. Sir, these ships do not appear in any official registry. Jake's smile got wider. Because the Council never knew they existed. The United Earth Space Command has been building a secret fleet for 3 years. Ghost Squadron, this is Morrison. Welcome to the party. The lead Ghost Vessel's commander responded. Her voice was calm and professional. Morrison, this is Commander Lisa Ford of the Phantom. We are here to help, engaging hostile forces now. The Ghost Squadron vessels were smaller than regular warships, but impossibly fast. They were equipped with experimental stealth technology. They flickered in and out of sensor range. They appeared behind Krell vessels, delivered devastating attacks, then vanished before return fire could target them. One ghost ship appeared directly above a Krell carrier. It dropped antimatter mines and was gone before the explosions even happened. The carrier split in 2. Its fighter bays erupted in a chain reaction of explosions. The remaining 2 Krell dreadnoughts found themselves surrounded by human vessels that were no longer holding back. The Krell commander, Admiral Zexthor, watched his fleet fall apart with growing horror. The intelligence reports on human capabilities had been catastrophically wrong. All vessels retreat, he ordered. Jump to hyperspace immediately. But the defender had moved into position. Not so fast, Jake said. He turned to his tactical officer. Lieutenant Hayes, activate the gravity well generator. Sir, that technology is banned under Council law, the lieutenant said. The Council left us to die, Jake shot back. Activate it now. The defender projected a massive gravity field that caught the fleeing Krell ships. Their faster-than-light drives failed. They could not escape. They are trapped, Alex announced. The entire Krell fleet is dead in... Part 3 The Galactic Council chamber erupted in chaos. Holographic screen showed footage from New Terra. Human military capabilities that should not exist were on display for everyone to see. Ships with weapons beyond approved specifications. Soldiers in armor that violated 3 separate treaties. Technology that the Council had explicitly forbidden. Ambassador Linda Hayes stood at the human delegation podium. Her expression was hard as stone. Alien representatives shouted accusations at her from all sides. This is an outrage, the Velkari delegate screeched. Humanity has been developing illegal weapons while claiming to be peaceful. You have betrayed the Council's trust. Trust? Linda's voice cut through the noise like a knife. Do not dare speak to me about trust. We warned you. For months we warned you about the Krell threat. We asked for permission to defend our colonies and you told us we were paranoid. You demanded we reduce our fleet. 43,000 civilians nearly died because you refused to listen. The Horthian ambassador pulsed an angry red color. You violated Council law. You built weapons of war while pretending to comply with our regulations. We did comply, Linda shot back. Every ship we registered met your specifications. Every weapon we declared matched your approved lists. We simply did not tell you about the rest. The Council does not get to dictate how humanity defends itself, especially when that Council's protection is worthless. The Mordesh Council head struck its crystalline gavel. The sound resonated through the chamber. The human delegation will explain how it concealed an entire shadow fleet from Council oversight. Linda's eyes were cold. Gladly. While you were busy congratulating yourselves for 200 years of peace, we were studying history. Our history. Earth has seen countless civilizations fall because they believed peace would last forever. They let their defenses crumble. They trusted treaties more than they trusted vigilance. She pulled up a holographic display. These are the 23 colonies that went dark before New Terra. Your council did nothing. You ignored every warning sign because investigating would have disrupted your comfortable illusion of safety. Well, that illusion just cost lives. Human lives, because we were forced to fight with restrictions that nearly got our people killed. A Draithi delegate stood up. He resembled a bipedal wolf. Even if your concerns about the Krell were valid, this does not excuse your deception. You have made fools of this council. You made fools of yourselves, Linda retorted. You assumed humanity would be like you, complacent, content, trusting, but we are not. We are a species that clawed our way up from a death world. Everything from the weather to the wildlife tried to kill us. We survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and near-extinction events. We learned the hard way that survival is not guaranteed. It is earned. Every single day, she leaned forward. Her voice dropped but lost none of its intensity. You want to sanction us? Go ahead. Cut us off from council trade. Revoke our membership. We will survive. We always do. But ask yourselves this. Who else is hiding in the dark, watching and waiting? The Krell were not afraid of the council. They did not hesitate to attack because they knew you would not fight back. How many other species are watching right now? Learning the same lesson. The chamber fell silent. The uncomfortable truth of her words settled over the assembled delegates like a heavy blanket. Back at New Terra, cleanup operations were underway. The colony was damaged but intact. Most of the population had survived thanks to the human military's intervention. Captured Krell prisoners were being processed. Their ships were being analyzed. Admiral Susan Carson arrived on the Defender to personally oversee the aftermath. She found Captain Jake Morrison in the observation deck. He was watching recovery teams work on the planet's surface. Hell of a job, Captain, Susan said, standing beside him. You saved a lot of lives today, Jake nodded. His expression was tired. We got lucky. If Ghost Squadron had not been in range, if the Hammerfall protocol had not worked as well as it did, this could have been a massacre. But it was not, Susan replied. And now the galaxy knows what we are capable of. That is going to change things. Is it, though? Jake turned to face her. The council is furious. They are talking about sanctions, expulsion. We might have just made ourselves outcasts. Susan smiled grimly. Let them try. We have got something they do not. The willingness to do what is necessary. Half the council species are reaching out through private channels already. They are quietly asking about defense contracts and military assistance. They saw what happened here. They saw the Krell attack and they saw us stop it. Actions speak louder than their anger. She pulled up a datapad and handed it to Jake. Look at this. Intelligence reports from the past 6 hours. The Krell have pulled back across all fronts. They are not attacking anyone right now. Know why? Because they are terrified. They hit what they thought was a soft target and got their teeth kicked in. Every species in this sector just learned a valuable lesson about humanity. Jake looked at the report, then back at his admiral. Which is what exactly? That we keep our promises, Susan said. We promised to defend our people, and we did. We warned the galaxy about the Krell, and we were right. We told them Earth was holding back, and we proved it. Now everyone knows humanity does not bluff. When we say we will do something, we do it. That is going to be our reputation from now on. Commander Alex Chen approached with a data slate. Admiral Captain, we have finished analyzing the Krell ships. You need to see this. They followed him to the briefing room. Intelligence officers had assembled their findings. The main display showed diagrams of Krell vessels and their technology. Lieutenant Kate Miller presented the briefing. Sirs, the Krell fleet was equipped with much more advanced technology than the Council's intelligence suggested. These weapon systems are at least 50 years ahead of what they claim to have. Either the Krell made a massive technological leap recently, or someone has been supplying them. Any theories on who? Susan asked. Kate highlighted several components. These power couplings and shield generators use design principles consistent with Zothran manufacture. The Zothrans are council members with advanced industrial capacity. Jake's eyes narrowed. Are you saying a council species has been arming the Krell? I am saying it is a possibility worth investigating, Kate replied carefully. Susan's expression darkened. If that is true, this goes deeper than we thought. The council might not just be incompetent. Parts of it might be actively working against peace. She turned to Jake. Get this information to Ambassador Hayes immediately. If there is corruption in the Council, we need to expose it. As the briefing continued, a message arrived from Earth. The Human Assembly, the governing body of United Earth, had voted. By a margin of 73%, they had authorized full military mobilization. The Shadow Fleet would be revealed. The restrictions would be lifted. Humanity was done playing by rules that left them vulnerable. The galaxy had wanted civilized. They had wanted peaceful. They had wanted humanity to be like everyone else. Now they would learn. You can take humans out of Earth, but you cannot take the Earth out of humans. And Earth had taught its children to be survivors, fighters, and protectors of their own. Jake looked out at the stars through the observation window. He thought about the past 5 years. Humanity had joined the Galactic Council with hope and excitement. They wanted to be part of something bigger. They wanted to learn from older, wiser species. But what they found was a council that had grown soft. Species that had forgotten how to defend themselves. Governments that believed strongly worded letters could stop invasions. It was like watching historical Earth nations before the Great Wars. Peace through wishful thinking never worked. It only lasted until someone decided to take what they wanted by force. The other species had looked at humanity and seen young barbarians who needed to be tamed. They saw Earth's military and called it excessive. They heard humanity's warnings and called it paranoia. They never understood that humans built those weapons not because they wanted war, but because they had learned from bitter experience what happened when you were unprepared. What happens now? Alex asked, joining Jake at the window. Now we show them the alternative, Jake said. The Council's way failed. Our colonies were attacked. Our people died. We followed their rules and it nearly cost us everything. So now we do it our way, which is, Jake smiled. We protect our own. We arm our friends. We make it clear that attacking human interests or our allies will cost more than anyone is willing to pay. Peace through strength. It is an old concept, but it works. Susan joined them at the window. The Council will fight this. They will try to maintain their authority. Let them try, Jake said. But I think they will find that a lot of species are tired of being vulnerable. We are not the only ones who noticed that the Council's protection is an illusion. The difference is we did something about it. Down on New Terra, the citizens were cleaning up and rebuilding. They had been saved, but the experience had changed them. They knew now that the galaxy was more dangerous than the Council admitted. They knew that humanity's military was not excessive. It was necessary. Children played in the streets again, but their parents watched the sky with new wariness. The innocence was gone, the comfortable belief that... Part 4. 3 months after the Battle of New Terra, the Galactic Council convened an emergency summit. The chamber had never been so crowded. Species that normally sent only minor delegates now had their leaders present. Everyone wanted to see what would happen next. Ambassador Linda Hayes entered with a full security detail of human Marines in dress uniform. Their powered armor was polished to shine like mirrors. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer asking for permission. The Mordesh Council head opened the session. This summit has been called to address the human situation. In the wake of recent events, the Council must determine the future of human-council relations. Before you continue, Linda interrupted, her voice carrying authority. Humanity has a presentation. I think you will all want to see it. Without waiting for approval, she activated the central display. Images flooded the chamber. Krill attack patterns, supply routes, communication intercepts, and most damning of all, financial records. For the past year, the Zothran Cooperative has been secretly supplying the Krell Dominion with advanced weapons and military technology, Linda announced. In exchange, the Krell promised them mining rights to territories they planned to conquer. That included human colonies. The Zothran delegate, a crystalline being that refracted light into rainbow patterns, turned a sickly gray color. This is a fabrication. Human lies. Is it? Linda pulled up communication logs. These are direct transmissions between Zothran officials and Krell military commanders. We recovered them from the captured ships at New Terra. We also traced financial transactions, shell corporations, and covert supply runs. The evidence is overwhelming. The Zothrans knew the Krell were planning attacks. They knew human colonies would be targeted. They armed our enemies for profit. The chamber erupted. Delegates turned on the Zothran representative, shouting accusations. The revelation that a council member had been profiting from war sent shockwaves through the assembly. But it gets better. Linda continued, her voice cutting through the chaos. The Zothrans were not alone. We found evidence of at least 6 other Council species providing covert support to various aggressive powers in the galaxy. The Council has not maintained peace for 200 years. You have just been ignoring the wars that happened to smaller species. Species without the strength to fight back or the voice to be heard. She turned to face the Council head directly. The Council is corrupt. It is bloated, ineffective, and compromised. You lecture about peace while allowing atrocities in the shadows. You demand smaller species disarm while the predators among you sharpen their claws. This organization is broken. The Mordesh leader's crystals flared with anger. You dare to— I dare because someone has to, Linda shot back. The Council failed. It failed the colonies that went dark. It failed humanity when we begged for help. It failed every species that believed your promises of protection. We warned you this would happen and you called us paranoid. Well, we are done warning. We are done asking. From this moment forward, humanity is forming a new alliance. The display changed, showing a list of species names. These 27 civilizations have agreed to join the Terran Coalition. We are creating a mutual defense pact separate from the Council. Member species will maintain their own military forces. We will share technology and intelligence. And we will defend each other, not with speeches and sanctions, but with action. She looked around the chamber. The Council is welcome to continue as it has been. Pass your resolutions. Hold your debates. But if any species threatens a coalition member, they will face all of us. And as you saw at New Terra, humanity does not lose. Admiral Susan Carson stood on the bridge of humanity's newest vessel, the ESS Liberty. It was the first warship built without any Council restrictions. It was a statement of purpose and capability. Around her, construction yards orbited Earth, building a fleet that would ensure humanity's security. Captain Jake Morrison, promoted after his actions at New Terra, commanded the Liberty as her first captain. He watched the tactical display showing coalition fleet exercises. 27 species, learning to coordinate, training together, becoming stronger together. It is impressive, Susan said, watching fighters from a dozen different species fly in formation. 3 months ago, most of these civilizations barely had defense forces. Now look at them. Fear is a powerful motivator, Jake replied. The Krell attack scared everyone. They realized the Council could not protect them. Some of these species were a decade away from being invaded themselves. And now they are not. Susan agreed. We have armed them, trained them, shared technology we developed specifically because the Council said we could not have it. Ironic, is it not? The weapons they feared we would use to conquer are being used to defend. On the communication channel, Commander Alex Chen's voice came through. Admiral Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the Council. They are requesting immediate dialogue with Coalition leadership. Susan and Jake exchanged looks. Patch them through, Susan ordered. The Mordish Council head appeared on screen. Its crystalline features were hard to read. Admiral Carson, the Council wishes to propose a compromise. I am listening, Susan said neutrally. The Council acknowledges that reforms are needed. We propose a joint task force to investigate corruption and improve defense protocols. In exchange, the Coalition would remain within the Council framework. Susan smiled thinly. And what would humanity get out of this arrangement? Legitimacy. Trade access. The Council's resources. We have all that already, Susan pointed out. 27 species trade with us freely. Our legitimacy comes from our actions, not your approval. As for resources, we are doing fine. So let me counter with our proposal. The Council disbands its restrictions on military development. Every species gets to maintain whatever defense force they deem necessary. No more mandated disarmament. No more forcing civilizations to be vulnerable. The Mordesh was silent for a long moment. That would fundamentally change the Council's purpose. Good, Susan replied. The Council's current purpose is a failure. Change or become irrelevant. Those are your options. The transmission ended. Jake looked at his admiral. Do you think they will do it? Some will resist, Susan said. But most will adapt. They have to. The alternative is watching their citizens flock to the Coalition for protection. The Council's authority was built on the promise of security. We just proved that promise is empty. Over the following weeks, messages came in from across the galaxy. Some were angry denunciations from Council loyalists, but many were quiet inquiries. Species asking about Coalition membership, governments requesting military advisors, colonies begging for defensive platforms. The galaxy was changing. The old order, built on 200 years of peace and complacency, was crumbling. A new order was emerging, one built on the simple principle that peace requires strength. Jake stood in the Liberty's war room, reviewing deployment schedules. The Coalition fleet was spread thin, protecting dozens of worlds. Every human ship had been assigned Coalition partners. Every colony had mixed defense forces. It was working, but it was also exhausting. "We cannot keep this pace up forever," Alex said, looking at the same schedules. "We are stretched across half the galaxy." "We do not have to keep it up forever," Jake replied. "Just long enough for our allies to build their own strength. Right now they need us. In a year they will be able to defend themselves. That is the goal." "And what about us?" Alex asked. "When do we get to rest?" Jake smiled tiredly. "When humans stop being humans, I suppose. We are not built to rest when there is work to be done. It is in our nature." Lieutenant Kate Miller entered the war room. "Sirs, we have got something strange. Long-range sensors are picking up unusual activity on the far side of Krell space. Multiple fleets moving in formation. They are not Krell." Jake and Alex moved to her station. The sensor data showed dozens of ships all heading in the same direction. Away from Council and Coalition space, retreating. "Pull up the ship profiles," Jake ordered. Kate brought up the data. "These are Krell vessels, but also ships from the Vakoth Swarm, the Rendix Dominion, and at least 3 other aggressive species. They are all moving toward the galactic rim. It is like they are running from something." "Or being smart," Alex suggested. "We just showed the galaxy what happens when you attack human interests. Maybe they decided to find easier prey elsewhere." "Maybe," Jake said, but he did not sound convinced. "Or maybe they are regrouping. Getting ready for something bigger." Susan's voice came over the comm. "Captain, I am seeing these same readings from Earth Command. They want to know if we should pursue." Jake thought about it. Chasing defeated enemies across the galaxy would stretch their forces even thinner, but letting them regroup could be dangerous later. Negative on pursuit, he decided. "But I want long-range monitoring. If they stop retreating and start building up forces, I want to know immediately, and get intelligence working on why all these species are moving at once. This does not feel random." "Acknowledged," Susan replied. Jake returned to the window, looking out at the stars. 3 months ago, they had been fighting for survival at New Terra. Now they were coordinating the defense of nearly 30 species across multiple sectors. It was amazing how quickly things could change. Part 5. 6 months after the formation of the Terran Coalition, the galaxy looked very different. The Galactic Council still existed, but its power had diminished. Nearly 40 species now belonged to the Coalition, and more were applying for membership every week. The old order was dying. A new one was being born. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the ESS Liberty, watching construction crews work on the new Coalition defense station. It orbited a planet called Haven, chosen specifically because it sat at the intersection of multiple trade routes. The station would serve as the Coalition's military headquarters and a symbol of their commitment to mutual defense. "It is coming together nicely," Commander Alex Chen said, standing beside him. "When it is finished, it will be the largest military installation in this sector. And the Council cannot say a word about it," Jake replied with satisfaction. "Because it is not on their territory. It is in neutral space built by sovereign nations exercising their right to self-defense." Lieutenant Kate Miller looked up from her station. "Captain, we are receiving a priority message from Ambassador Hayes. She says it is urgent." Jake moved to the communication console. Linda Hayes appeared on screen. She looked tired but determined. Behind her, he could see the interior of a shuttlecraft. "Captain Morrison, I need the Liberty to meet me at coordinates I am sending now. Come alone, maximum stealth. Tell no one where you are going." Jake frowned. "Ambassador, what is this about?" "I have information that cannot be transmitted. Not even on secure channels. Just trust me and come quickly." The transmission ended. Jake looked at Alex, who had overheard everything. "What do you think?" "I think our ambassador just asked us to go dark and meet her in secret," Alex replied. "That is either very important or very bad." "Probably both," Jake nodded. "Plot a course to those coordinates. Engage stealth systems. And Alex, you are right to be suspicious. Have security on standby just in case this is a trap." The Liberty detached from the construction zone and slipped away quietly. Its experimental stealth technology made it nearly invisible to sensors. Within 3 hours, they arrived at the coordinates. It was empty space, far from any system or shipping lane. Linda's shuttle appeared moments later. She came aboard alone, carrying a secure data case. Jake met her in the briefing room with Alex and Kate. "Thank you for coming," Linda said. She looked around to make sure they were alone, then placed the data case on the table. "What I am about to show you cannot leave this room, not yet. If this information gets out before we are ready, it could start a war we are not prepared to fight." She opened the case and pulled out a data chip. When she plugged it into the display, images appeared. Ships, lots of ships, thousands of them, all gathered in one location. "What am I looking at?" Jake asked. "This is the outer dark beyond the galactic rim," Linda explained. "Human intelligence has been monitoring the aggressive species that retreated months ago. We thought they were running away. We were wrong. They were gathering." More images appeared. Not just ships, but massive construction projects. Stations being built, weapons being tested, resources being stockpiled. "They are forming an alliance," Linda continued. "The Krell, the Vakoth, the Rendix, and at least a dozen other species. They are calling themselves the Sovereignty, and they are preparing for war." The room was silent. Jake stared at the images, his mind racing. "How long have they been building this?" "We think at least 2 years," Linda said. "Maybe longer. The coalition forming just accelerated their timeline. They see us as a threat to their expansion plans." "Do they have a target?" Alex asked. Linda pulled up a star map. Red indicators marked dozens of systems. "All of them. They plan to attack Council and Coalition space simultaneously. Overwhelming force across multiple fronts. The goal is to shatter our alliances before we can respond." Kate leaned forward, studying the map. "How many ships are we talking about?" "Intelligence estimates between 5,000 and 8,000 warships," Linda replied. "Plus support vessels, troop transports, and supply chains. It is the largest military force assembled in galactic history." Jake felt his stomach sink. "And how many ships does the coalition have?" 1,200, Linda said quietly. "If we include every council vessel willing to fight, maybe 3,000 total. We are outnumbered at least 2 to 1, possibly much worse." "Then we need to mobilize now," Alex said. "Get every ship ready, call up reserves, start war production." "We are," Linda assured him. "Earth is already building ships as fast as possible. Our coalition allies are doing the same. But it is not enough. We need more time." "How much time do we have?" Jake asked. Linda looked grim. 6 months. Maybe 8 if we are lucky. That is when intelligence thinks they will be ready to launch their attack. Jake paced the briefing room. 6 months to prepare for a war that could end human expansion into space. 6 months to build an army large enough to face thousands of enemy ships. It was not enough time. "Why tell me this in secret?" he asked. "Why not announce it to everyone?" "Because panic serves no one," Linda replied. "If the general population knows what is coming, there will be chaos. Riots, people trying to flee. We need common order while we prepare. The coalition leadership knows. Earth's government knows. But we are keeping it quiet for now." She looked directly at Jake. "I told you because you are going to play a crucial role in what comes next. Admiral Carson is reorganizing the fleet. You are being promoted to Commodore and given command of the first strike group. Your mission is to buy us time." "How?" Jake asked. Linda pulled up more images. "The Sovereignty's main shipyards are here, in the Kaleth Nebula. They are building their dreadnoughts and carriers there. If we can hit those yards, we can delay their timeline, maybe by months." "A raid deep in enemy territory," Alex said. "With how many ships?" 50, Linda answered. "The best we have. Fast ships with Ghost Squadron stealth technology. You go in, hit the yards as hard as you can, and get out before they can respond." Jake studied the tactical display. The Kaleth Nebula was hundreds of light years away, surrounded by enemy territory. They would be completely cut off from support. If anything went wrong, there would be no rescue. "It is a suicide mission," he said bluntly. "It is a necessary mission," Linda corrected. "If we do nothing, they attack in 6 months and we lose. If we raid the yards, we buy more time to build our defenses, maybe enough time to survive." Jake looked at Alex and Kate. They both nodded. They understood what needed to be done. "All right," Jake said. "I will take the mission. But I need complete operational freedom. No second guessing from Earth Command. No politicians telling me when and how to fight. You will have it," Linda promised. "Admiral Carson is already drawing up the orders. You leave in 1 week." The week passed in a blur. Jake assembled his strike group, choosing only volunteers. Everyone knew the risks. Many would not come back. But they all understood that this was bigger than individual survival. This was about giving humanity and its allies a chance. The ESS Liberty led a fleet of 50 ships into the dark. They traveled through unmapped space, avoiding all known shipping lanes. The journey took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of tension, wondering if they would be detected before reaching their target. When they finally arrived at the Kaleth Nebula, Jake stood on the bridge and looked at the enemy shipyards through the sensor displays. They were massive, sprawling across multiple asteroids, dozens of dreadnoughts in various stages of construction, hundreds of smaller vessels, supply depots, refineries, defense platforms. Analysis? Jake asked. Kate ran the numbers. Heavy defenses. At least 200 guard ships. Multiple shield generators. If we attack head-on, we will take severe casualties. Then we do not attack head-on, Jake decided. He pulled up the tactical map. The nebula's gas interferes with sensors. We use that. Split into 3 groups. Group 1 hits the northern yards. Group 2 takes the southern facilities. Group 3, the Liberty included, goes straight for their command station. If we cut off their coordination, the defense falls apart. It was risky. Splitting their forces made each group vulnerable, but a coordinated attack would be impossible to defend against everywhere at once. All ships, this is Commodore Morrison. Jake broadcast. You all know what we came here to do. Those shipyards are building the fleet that will attack our homes, our families, everything we have fought to protect. We are here to make sure that fleet never launches. Hit hard, hit fast, and get out alive. Good hunting. The strike group split up and moved into position. The Liberty and 15 other ships accelerated toward the command station. Alarms started blaring as the enemy detected them, but it was too late. The coalition ships were already firing. Jake watched as the Liberty's weapons tore into the command station. Explosions rippled across its surface. Communication arrays collapsed. Shield generators overloaded. Within minutes, the station was crippled. Across the nebula, the other groups hit their targets. Dreadnoughts still under construction were destroyed before they could launch. Refineries exploded in massive fireballs. Defense platforms fired wildly, unable to coordinate without the command station. All targets destroyed, Kate reported. We are reading catastrophic damage across all 3-yard locations. Then we leave, Jake ordered. All ships jump to hyperspace now.